Welcome to PodCapers, the official podcast of A Place to Hang Your Cape. And this week, we're talking about female representation in comic books. I'm sure everything will be absolutely fine. Nothing controversial will be brought up here. Oh god, we're gonna get emails. Cue the music! Hello there, Capers, and welcome to PodCapers, the official podcast of A Place to Hang Your Cape. As I said, my name is Scott James Merridew, and this is a show where we talk about various geek and nerdy related topics, and I'm joined each week by a very special different guest. And this week we are joined by Chelsi Slotten. Say hello, Chelsea.
Hi.
How are you doing today?
I'm pretty good. Yeah.
Good. Did I say your name right?
You did. Congratulations.
Oh, thank goodness. Always check, because you never go. Americans have weird names.
Yeah. Mine's actually a Welsh name, so...
Oh, even worse! Oh, God, no! Fucking Wales! I'm sorry. As previous listeners to the show will know, I have a little bit of a bugbear when it comes to Wales. Fucking filled with sheep and valleys and death! But we're getting ahead of ourselves.
That's fine. My parents, just didn't want to give me the traditional spelling of Chelsea.
It's fine. Yeah. It's fine. It's Welsh, or it's not fine. No. I'm sorry. I tend to go, you'll find out pretty soon, Chelsea, I tend to go on little rants. Wales it's on my list. And I have a very long list of things that I like to rant about. But we're getting aside from stuff. Now, Chelsea. We're talking about the representation of women in comic books. It's safe to say you know a bit about that.
I do, yeah. So I am actually a PhD student at American University in anthropology.
Oh, sorry, Dr. Chelsi Slotten. I'm so sorry.
I'm not a doctor yet. I'm working on it.
Okay.
But my primary area of interest is gender studies and gender relations in anthropology in the US, which is a little bit different than the UK. We have what we call a 4-field system. So everyone studies cultural anthropology, linguistics, physical anthropology, and archaeology. While I am technically, my specialty is bioarchaeology, which is skeletons and mummies.
Ooh.
And I look at gender relations in ancient populations through skeletons and mummies, mostly skeletons. But because of this 4-field system, I've also done work in linguistics and cultural anthropology. And when I do work with linguistics, I tend to work with comic books because I like comics. And I tend to look at gender representation because that's what I look at everywhere. So I have done some research into gender representation in comics, both looking at what has been written by other people as well as going through and analyzing myself.
Wow. So safe to say you're quite the smarty pants.
I try.
Oh,
we all have our moments.
Bloody hell, that's impressive. Darren Wolski, the guy who introduced us, he said that you had done a dissertation. Turns out you've done many different papers. This is impressive. Clearly you know what you're talking about.
There are people who know more. There are also people who know less.
I think you're fine.
I'm trying not to be too full of myself.
Oh no, this is the show where you be full of yourself. I'm full of myself all the goddamn time. And don't you forget it, Capers. So, but there's, I think, in recent years, well, I say recent year, there's been a bit of an advancement in terms of representation of women in, certainly in movies. It's been a long and rocky road, though, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has been. And some of it is that comics have for a very long time been undervalued as, an art form or as a cultural medium. There's a great quote from Bradford Wright from his 2001 book, Comic Book Nation: The Transforming of Youth Culture in America. That is, few enduring expressions of American popular culture are so instantly recognizable and still so poorly understood as comic books. Now, that was 2001, so 16 years ago. But in a lot of ways, that still holds true. A lot of people, you say, oh, I read comic books. And they're like, kids, right? Which is incorrect.
Despite the fact that like
comic
half the
books are
movies in
amazing.
the cinema right now are based on comic books.
Right? And completely not for children, and a lot of the themes that are talked about in comic books are not
Yeah.
appropriate for children. But
I'm sitting right next to my copy of like Frank Miller's Daredevil and Alan Moore's Watchmen.
yeah, they're not necessarily kid friendly, which is fine, and they're really, really wonderful mediums for getting your point across. And I will say that in the past 15 or so years, you have seen a lot more people talking about and what they mean in the Academy. And you're starting to get some Comic-Cons that actually have academic conferences attached to them, where you have a whole bunch of people like me who sit around in a room and talk about use of space and linguistic patterns and critical discourse analysis and all sorts of other interesting things.
And
like
in the
that.
next room, you've got people like me who are going like, oh, I like this Spider-Man t-shirt, yay!
Right? And then the next day, all of the people who are hanging out in the academic conference, dress up.
Go and geek out in Hall H or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you are getting more of that. And you're also getting panels at, regular kind of like academic conferences rather than Comic-Cons that are devoted to comics. So people are really starting to investigate more what's going on with comics. And one realm of comics that people have looked at a lot is the representation of women in comics. And it's
interesting. It's interesting.
Sure. It always, kind of riles me up, and I am a diehard feminist at heart, and I will also say that
sister!
Woo!
Yes, queen!
I'm going to sit here and I'm going to talk about female representation in comics, and I still love seeing women in comics, and like Harlequin, who is profoundly screwed up, is probably my favorite character of all time.
Yeah, she's one of the few DC characters that I genuinely like, and that is a very short list, let me tell you. And so I'm a feminist as well, I consider myself such, and I there's a lot of stuff even that I like to think I've educated myself. Obviously, compared to you, I don't think that would be the case. I'm sure you'll be able to teach me quite a bit. But this is something that I'm a writer myself. I've always tried to make sure that if I do write a female character, that she is just as well written as any other character. And it's one of those things like... Okay, so let's dive into the history. I think that's a good starting point. Let's go into the history. So, comic books shall we say comic books proper start in the 1930s, shall we say that?
Sure.
And so, a lot of them were men. Sometimes you get a female character. More often than not, they'd either be an antagonist, like a femme fatale, in opposition to the hero, or they'd be helping the hero. And again, bear in mind that I am an idiot and I often don't know what I'm talking about. A lot of the representation, at least in terms of the female character helping the hero, I think was rather positive.
So...
You're gonna prove me wrong, aren't you? Oh, God!
No, so there are definitely examples of...
The one I always point to is Diane Belmont from the early Sandman comics.
Sure.
Who I think got a much better upgrade in later years of the Vertigo imprint series of Sandman, which I really like. But do you think? So,
there are some examples of women in early comics, particularly the helpmates, that are positive. But one of the things to kind of consider when you're looking at these older comic books is that the women who are portrayed positively are helpmates, right? They are, good and role models and spoken about in a
two-dimensional, basically.
Right, precisely because they are there to help and to support and to be, a background character.
Or worse, to be saved.
Right.
Lois
exactly.
Lane, Lois, again, that's another female character from DC that I do really like, Lois Lane, as she is now. Back when she's all, brassy and sassy and doesn't take anyone's crap. back then it was just like, oh God, Superman, help me! Oh no, Lex Luthor kidnapped me for like the umpteenth bajillionth time.
Right. I'm incapable. Like, no, right? We didn't have strong, capable women. And even when you did have strong, capable women, right? Wonder Woman being obviously the kind of premier example whenever you talk about a female comic book hero, Wonder Woman.
Oh dear. Oh dear. Because there was some stuff going on behind the scenes that have come to light in recent years about the creative Wonder Woman.
Yes. But one of the things that has been talked about a lot in various different media is that when Wonder Woman gets, the lasso and the arm guards, and she, goes from being Diana to being Wonder Woman, it is only after she's, passed these tests and the Amazons have approved her to give her this material. So there's a barrier to entry, shall we say, that she has to do that Superman doesn't have to do. No one was like, oh, if you want to be Superman, you have to do,
You just basically have to be the last child of Krypton and get shot in a rocket and land in Kansas. That's all you got to do. And then that's people doing that for you.
Right. So
I mean, for God's sake, Green Lantern got his ring of power handed to him. Just
right.
Like the purple space alien dude crash lands right in front of him, just like, okay, you'll do. Have this ring of unimaginable power.
Right? Because they're men, and therefore they are like intrinsically worthy, right? Like that's the message that is being sent when you do this. Men are intrinsically worthy of being heroes, of having this power, of having this responsibility. And if you want a woman to step into those spaces and to have those roles, it has to be controlled, in that Diana getting, her outfit is controlled by the other Amazons. But she also has to prove her worth in a way that men never do, which makes it clear in these early comic books that this is like an abnormal role for women to have. Yeah. And it's not societally sanctioned, shall we say.
I mean, the closest thing that men would get to like a scenario like that is accidents. Like scientific accidents, things like that. I mean, that's how like the Flash got his powers, although not the original Flash, as far as I'm aware. So it's very one-sided, yeah. And then things got a bit better. Emphasis on a bit. With I think the best example will probably be the Invisible, as she was then known, girl, not woman. And because she got her powers by accident, along with the rest of Fantastic Four, she didn't have to prove herself. She was considered just as much as part of the team. But then there was other stuff. Like Reed Richards, quote-unquote, disciplining her by spanking her. That was weird. That was really weird.
It was really weird. And like you mentioned before, she is the invisible girl. Right? And we have
her brother, Johnny Storm, is younger than her. They don't call him the boy Torch. I don't know.
Right. But it's another use of language to diminish someone's perceived ability, right? Or perceived power, because a girl is a child and children are less responsible and less capable than adults are. So by calling her the invisible girl, we're trying to remove some of the power that's being granted to her.
Yeah, because all the male superheroes that's like childish names, like there was a Superboy, and I don't know, just off the top of my head, Matter Eater Lad, stupid name. But they were all genuinely children. Like they were, or at least younger. None of them were really older than teenagers. And then Spider-Man came along. He was fucking 15, 16, and he was called Spider-Man. Invisible Woman, and they met in the first issue of Spider-Man, not Amazing Fantasy 15, what came after. He meets the Invisible Girl. She's fucking older than him. She's in, like, at the very least, her late 20s, early 30s, and she's called a girl, and he's called a man. He is in school!
Exactly. It's really, really frustrating.
And it is annoying, because there were steps being taken. I genuinely do believe Stan Lee was trying to make a good female character, but he was limited. And this is not an excuse, but it is an explanation that he was sort of limited by the mindset of the time.
So you are limited by the mindset of the time. And the other thing is that there are a lot of unspoken rules in writing and drawing comic books that have been touched on by some creators. One, a woman named Paige Braddock, who creates Jane's World, who's done a book, and I believe she's online as well. But she talks about having a conversation with the professional cartoonist Dave Grau. Probably mispronounced that name. I apologize.
Isn't he the guy in the Foo Fighters? That's Dave Grohl.
He worked on Alley Oop.
All right.
And I don't know.
I've never heard of that. I've never
met him. Right, me either. But in talking with him, that he mentioned that there is an understood law of comics, right? An unspoken comics that male characters can be drawn humorously with embellishments, or they can be strong, they can be all of these other things. But female characters should always have small feet, hands, wrists, big bosoms, and basically female characters should always be attractive, and that should be their defining characteristic. And if your defining characteristic of anyone is going to be how they look, that provides so many fewer options.
Unless his superhero name is Supermodel, like the model with superpowers, even there, that's not the point. It's not the point of them.
Right. Well, and we'll probably get into this a little bit later, and I will go on my own little rant about the villainization of female sexuality in comic books.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we'll talk about that when we go a bit more into characters, focus on the history for now. Although the other thing about the history of comics that really gets me right then, I mean, I like the Fantastic Four. Again, sticking with Fantastic Four, just because I think that's the best example. Although this was seen in many other comics that I've read from that time period, like the one repeated phrase of dialogue that I would keep on noticing was, "I know I'm just a silly female." That line of dialogue. Oh, you've heard of it. That line of dialogue kept popping up in so many different things, in multiple comics of Fantastic Four and various other things. Phased out pretty quickly after that, but still, fucking hell.
Right? This is a big flag, right? I'm putting a disclaimer on this because I don't think that I'm worthy of, having an opinion to be listened to.
I acknowledge that I am inferior to you in every single way, but still, maybe we should try this.
Exactly. And I would like to point out that, I certainly don't feel that way. I know tons of women who don't feel that way. But there are a lot of people in society who, feel that way. Yeah. And if you have people who think women should behave that way, a great way to indicate that this is, appropriate behavior is to put it in a comic book that's going to be read by tons of people, particularly children.
She's
even
a
if
superhero,
it's
but she's... Sorry, because it's like she's a superhero, but she's really submissive and acknowledges that she's not as good as men. So be like that. Ugh.
Exactly, and it's wrong. And one of the bad things about people thinking that comic books are really for children is that, as you and I can sit here and I'm in my 20s. I don't know where you're at. But we're older individuals who have learned how to
better.
Be logical and think. If you show this to a kid whose brain isn't fully developed, they're not necessarily going to engage with it critically, and they're just going to be like, "Oh yeah, that's appropriate things." No.
Yeah. I mean, when I was a kid, I just sort of ignored that sort of stuff. I didn't really absorb it. I didn't really reject it. I just I don't care. I want to get to the bit where they fight. Yeah. So
right, but you didn't engage with it critically.
Exactly.
Right? So it just became a thing that was accepted as part of the story.
Yeah.
And that can impact, how people exist and function in society.
Yeah, just imagine 4 different kids playing Fantastic Four, and the girl one says, "I want to be an invisible woman." Okay, go in the kitchen and make ourselves a sandwich while you're invisible. I don't know.
Yeah, it's really frustrating.
Yeah. And the 70s, I think, brought about a significant change. Well, baby steps at any rate. Different characters, more... I think progress was made, but I know less about this than I do about the stuff that happened in the 60s. It wasn't until the 80s when things sort of took one step forward and then about, 20 steps back, thanks to Rob fucking Liefeld. Because I don't know, are you familiar with the work of the great and talented virtuoso Rob Liefeld?
I don't think I am.
He created many characters, including Cable and Deadpool. Now,
Sure.
Deadpool not so much, but Cable was very much archetypical of the style at the time, perpetrated by Rob Liefeld, which was like big, brawny, muscular, and pouches everywhere. Everywhere on his costume there'll be pouches. What's in those pouches? God knows, but he's got them. And it's very, very over the top and very, very silly. Then there was how he drew female characters. Imagine like Barbie, and then shrink the waist by like 50% and enhance the chest area by about 200%. Now imagine big hair and almost no clothing as they could possibly get away with. That is every single Rob Liefeld female character.
Yes, I am familiar with that style of drawing.
Yeah, I mean, because I a while ago I was reading Savage Dragon, which was an Image a comic, and it's quite a good comic. But there are the way they draw the female characters. Oh my god, it's so exploitative.
Well, and it's absolutely unnecessary.
Yeah.
And you certainly don't see male characters, drawn like that. And I would, like to call your attention to the cover of basically any comic book that has a female in it, right? Or a female as the main character.
If they're wearing anything, then chances are they'll have their back turned to us, looking over their shoulder, somewhat coquettishly displaying their ass.
So, and it's not how they're posed, and the key word here being posed. Men on covers of comic books have their feet wide apart. They might have their hands, on their hips. They're planted, right? If I was going to go up to them and push on their shoulder, I don't think they'd move because they have like a very firm stance. Women, you got your butt out and your boobs out, and you're probably wearing 6-inch heels and, turned awkwardly to make your waist tiny. First of all, some of them I don't think are humanly possible. Second of all, if they are, they're not particularly comfortable. And third of all, it's a terrible fighting stance.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they are posed like models or like figurines or like toys. So you're just sending an image of, someone who's not capable.
They're not there to be heroes. They're not there to even be violent or to be intimidating. They're there to be sexy, which is not the point.
Exactly. And there's absolutely no reason to draw them like that other than the fact that, apparently that's what comic book creators think women should be, or that only, little teenage boys are looking at them and that's what they want to look at, or...
That's the thing, not the worst part, but one of the bad parts of it for me is, like, are they writing and drawing these characters this way because they genuinely believe this is representative of women, or that's their own personal views, or because that's what they think will sell? And this sort of ties into, something that really fucking pisses me off. The idea that there's so few female superhero characters out there right now. There are a few, there need to be more. But of the few that there are, their action figures are not being sold. Which is not the same as they're not being bought. They're simply not being sold because they, for some reason, think that they won't be bought.
Yeah. Well, and it's... Why wouldn't they be? Yeah. You go in any comic book store, right? And I don't walk into comic book stores and have people be like, oh my god, it's a girl. Like, I'm just another person in a comic book store. Yeah. It's not unusual to see women in comic book stores. Why would you assume that women would not be buying, female figurines or...
Yeah. And for the kid aspect of it, like a lot of kids buy action figures, like, if you don't sell female superhero action figures, then yeah, there won't be any interest in little girls or little boys buying them because you're not supplying them. It's the basic
you can't
law.
Buy something that doesn't exist.
It's the basic law of supply and demand. Yeah, there's got to be a little demand for something, but if you don't supply it at all, no one's going to want it. It's one thing to recall a product if no one is buying it, which I don't think is really the case. I mean, yeah, consider the fact that Black Widow is the one I always point to. It's her action figure that always gets discontinued or not sold in the fucking first place. She is the only, right now at least, the only... Oh no, when it first came out, she was the only female character in the Avengers, aside from Maria Hill. I'm not really sure counts, but And it's like, so yeah, there's going to be less people buying her action figure than compared to like Thor or the Hulk, perhaps. But that doesn't mean you should discontinue the fucking action figure, and definitely doesn't mean that later on you should just not decide not to include her character at all.
Right. But this isn't just a problem in comic books, right? So, Hasbro recently came out with a Star Wars Monopoly game, right? And your pieces are, Darth Vader and, all of the kind of typical.
Yeah, R2-D2, Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, all those guys.
Right, exactly.
I'm guessing Princess Leia wasn't on that roster.
I'm actually not sure about Princess Leia, but the thing that really upsets me, and I know a lot of other people, is that they originally, I believe, were going to put Rey in as a character, and then decided that no one would play Monopoly if you had Rey as one of the characters. So
she was only the fucking main character of the last the one before last movie,
right? And apparently, if you contact Hasbro, you can special order one with a Rey character, but they're just not available anywhere. Granted, this was a couple months ago that
you shouldn't have to special order what is supposed to be already in there,
right? And there may have been enough of an outcry that they changed. I can't say for certain at this point that they haven't, because I will admit that I haven't looked that up recently. I've been out of the country, but we're not putting the main character of the movie in a game about the movie because she's a girl and no one excuse me?
Jeez.
But so this isn't something that is solely a problem in comic books. It's a problem in pop culture in general.
Yeah. So we're gonna go brief interview. So before we go any further, I want to talk about some of the biggest, the most damaging tropes surrounding female characters in comic books and movies, etc. One that I always like to point out and really sours my memory of a character, again, another DC character that I actually rather like. I don't really like Green Lantern, especially Hal Jordan. I fucking hate Hal Jordan. But I do like Carl Rayner. I thought he was a cool character. I thought his personality was interesting. I thought his growth as a hero was kind of cool. I like what he did with, the ring that can create anything from your imagination. Because he's a graphic designer, and he can do stuff that Hal Jordan, a fucking test pilot, never could. But his introduction was marred somewhat by the trope that came to be known as girlfriend in the refrigerator.
Yeah.
Oh god, I'm sorry I made you dry heave just then.
It's terrible. It's so awful.
For those of you capers who aren't aware, and you really should be aware, but if you're not, this is where you introduce a specifically female character for the sole purpose of being killed off to provide some sort of emotional conflict for the presumably male hero later on.
Because apparently that's all, women are good for. I mean, it's a variation of this helpmate, person in the background trope that was used, we're talking about back in the 30s and the 40s. And don't get me wrong, you still see that female as helpmate trope today. But again, women who don't exist or for their own lives, but simply for the betterment or the furtherment of a male character. And
it'd be different. It'd be different if this was a long-running character, and then at some point, some writer decided to kill her off. This is a character that was created specifically to die. Right.
No, and if you have a character who's been in,
Gwen Stacy isn't a girl in the refrigerator.
No, not at all. And characters die, and I'm not saying characters shouldn't die, but I don't know how to convince or who could convince writers and the cartoonists that women are people and women have their own thoughts and emotions and desires and aspirations, and hey, maybe you should write them that way.
Yeah, and it's just
concept.
Yeah, and it's just going beyond that. It's just poor writing. It's not good writing to introduce any character that just so that they can die. You need to be a bit clever than that. And it's the fact that she's a female character dying just to provide a bit of grief for the male character, that's the sole point of her existence, it just makes it even worse.
Yeah, it's...
Yeah. So what are some of your favorite, in big quotation marks, female tropes in comics?
So one that I mentioned earlier was the like villainization of sexuality, right?
Oh, yes.
So and I'm gonna point to Harley because I love Harley.
Don't we all? Don't we all? Except for David Ayers, apparently. No, that's a bit mean. That's a bit mean, but still. Fuck that fucking movie! I'm sorry.
No,
please go on. Please go on before I lose it.
So there is a particular
oh god, is this the that contest that DC did to draw Harley Quinn? Like
no.
Oh god. Oh fuck.
Okay. It's not that one.
Oh, so for those of you who don't know, Capers, DC started a fan contest to send in images, their fan drawings of Harley Quinn killing herself.
Right? Because apparently that's a thing that we need to encourage people to think about.
Oh god.
Yeah. No, that was awful. So the villainization of sexuality that you see in a lot of female comics.
This is going back centuries even, because the thing I like to point out and I will always talk about is I love this web series called Carmilla, and it's based on this novella by author Sheridan Le Fanu. It's like one of the earliest examples of vampires in fiction, and it's basically a demonization of lesbians, basically. As a vampire, she's lesbian, and that makes her evil.
Right? Because how dare women not want to sleep with men?
Yeah.
Like, no, fuck that shit. There's actually a huge is growing, large and growing body of research on lesbian identity within lesbian comics, and it's wonderful. And I strongly suggest anyone who's interested in it to check that out. But
I strongly suggest you see the Carmilla web series, because it's not like the book. It's so much better. It's so good. But anyway.
Anyways, so the villainization of female sexuality in the New 52 universe.
Oh God!
I know. I'm sorry. Right?
Proceed.
The comic 25 Big Ones, which is has its problems, but one of them. In the
sense you're putting that mildly.
Yes. So there is a particular scene in the comic where Harley has broken into the Arkham Asylum to try and free her boyfriend.
The Joker?
No, actually, not the Joker.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So she is at this point dating. Dating is probably a strong word.
Involved.
She is, involved with seeing a guy named Mason, who has been locked up actually for something that he didn't do, because he knows that the mayor did something stupid and the mayor's trying to save his own ass.
All right. Gotham City politics at its finest.
Right. So Harley is breaking into Arkham to try and save her current love. And there is a panel of 4 images, right? One is where she goes into Arkham dressed as Dr. Harleen Quinzel, so she has, regular skin tone.
The lab
and she's
coat
blonde.
And the glasses and...
Right, and she still has on, a mini skirt and, a blazer that's way too low and some, not professional work attire, and she's there as a psychiatrist to try and sneak into the building.
Yeah.
No women look like that at work. If women looked like that at work, they would get fired and harassed. And
at the very least, a call from HR.
Right? So the first panel says, okay, I need the freedom to be myself to do this right. And she's talking about, breaking Mason out. And it's accompanied by a picture of her stripping and putting on makeup.
Okay.
Right? Because apparently herself is, you know, barely clad Harlequin with all of her makeup on. Like, I'm sorry, you've broken into Arkham Asylum. Like, you really think that, like, this is the time to be doing your fucking hair? Right? You think that that's what
priorities, Harley? Jeez.
Well, but it's not, you know, it's just, hey, like, here's a female trope, and if we're gonna go and see Harley kick ass, like, we also have to make sure that she's very feminine and that everyone knows she's feminine. And by the way, let me give her these gigantic breasts so that we can't ignore the fact that she's feminine.
I swear to God, in the New 52, the cup size of every single female character ballooned and stayed the exact same.
Yeah.
Without wishing to get too personal, sorry.
No, that's fine. It's ridiculous. And then a couple panels later, you have Harley talking about the guards not being prepared for her, you know, to come in, as she is literally shoving a canister of gas between her boobs. So we're now conflating her breasts, right, which is like a normal part of the female anatomy, with a weapon, right? And we're making it like there's just these huge negative connotations around the fact that she is going to, you know, potentially be using her breasts as a weapon, and this is a bad thing because women who embrace their own sexuality are scary, I guess, is what we're trying to say. Like,
oh God, this is the fembots from Austin Powers all over again. Jeez.
Yeah, I mean, it's just...
It's so ridiculous is what it is. And we're talking about a character that dresses up like a clown and carries around a giant hammer. And this is weird.
Right?
This is the weird
bit.
Yeah.
It's just, like women, can't be better than... And one of the things that I'm like, I kind of want to say spoiler, but also this is a couple years old. So if you haven't read this comic at this point, I don't know that you deserve a spoiler.
When it comes to DC Comics, I don't care about spoilers.
Fair enough. I will admit that I'm actually a DC girl, not a Marvel girl. I know, the horror. But the premise of the premise of this comic is that as she's going to try and save Mason, and like props for making it the guy who's the damsel in distress.
Yeah.
You know, I like the kind of flip around of that trope. But Mason, of course, is in a cell right next to the Joker, despite the fact that the Joker is infinitely more dangerous than Mason is.
You seem relatively sane on a new admittance. Let's put you into our most dangerous psychopath. Hello there, Rumi. How are we doing?
So, like, in terms of, like, the reasonableness of him ending up next to the Joker and, like, security, but he ends up there because as Harley is going to save Mason, the Joker, of course, recognizes that she's there and calls out to her, and she ends up entering his cell and, like, beating the ever-loving snot out of him, right?
Okay.
And, like, I find that very cathartic because we've spent, 20 years watching the Joker, like, beat Harley up and manipulate her, and she, like, finally says enough. And she, like, beats him up.
Where was that
then, like,
scene in Suicide Squad?
Right? But, and I thought this was a great, you know, this particular vignette I thought was, like, pretty well done. I liked the story arc. I, like, you know, it was interesting. It was different because Harley doesn't usually, you know, bail on the Joker. So she was doing something different. But despite this story arc that has a lot more female agency to it than most other, you know, or a lot of the other Harley comics, particularly the early ones. She has zero agency in the early ones.
Yeah, I mean, she was literally introduced in the Batman animated series just to be his henchwoman, basically.
Exactly. You know, and the origins of Harley Quinn, as discussed in Batman Harley Quinn and Batman Mad Love.
Well, have you seen Batman and Harley Quinn? The new movie that came up recently.
I don't think I have. Okay. The most recent Batman movie I saw, I did see the the Killing Joke.
Oh, I'm
they
so
came out
sorry. I'm so sorry. Oh, fuck. Yeah, do you know what? As much as I like talking about Harley Quinn, let's talk about that fucking movie. The things they did to fucking Barbara Gordon, I swear. They don't know what they're talking about! They think they're being clever! They think they're being smart! Oh, we're showing Maggie a new line playing important guys. No! You are setting the character back, like, if not 10 years, then definitely 20!
Right. Because Batgirl is going to give up being Batgirl because she had sex with Batman and, like, Batman can't deal with it. Like, that is not Batgirl's problem.
Batman is such a fucking arse in that, because, like, they're talking about, like, this gangster that keeps on, like, Batgirl's, like, fighting, but also he keeps making, like, passes at her and is weird and, But then Batman's like, he's objectifying you. He doesn't respect you. And then 5 minutes later, like, let's get naked. Oh, the fucking gay best friend. I'm sorry, this movie makes me angry.
You could have a male friend as if he was gay.
Yeah, and it's not even subtle. I mean, God, Will and Grace was more subtle. Not that I don't like Will and Grace, but still. I just imagine, like, Jack from Will and Grace being friends with Barbara Gordon as she was in the comics. That wouldn't make a lot of sense!
No. Yeah, so, I mean, just, like, women are more than their bodies. They're more than their sexuality. They're more than their, ability to encourage men to become better men because they end up in a refrigerator.
Yeah. It was bad enough when, in the comics, when Alan Moore didn't include all that stuff, and he just had Barbara go and show up and then get shot, and that's what prompts Batman to go on this whole revenge thing, and she's just shot purely to provide emotional angst to Commissioner Gordon and Batman, and Alan Moore himself has gone on record saying, like, he didn't think that was a very good idea, and they just made that worse.
Right, but then... like, if Alan Moore thought it wasn't a good idea, like, who decided it was? Who decided that was the thing that had to happen? Who is it who's, like, making all of these decisions? Who can hear, potentially the outcry from the internet over what they're doing to female comic book heroes and basically be like, nope, don't care, doing it anyways.
I think it's less of a case of don't care doing it anyways, and more a case of they don't even hear that voice or get that instinct in the first place. They think this seems perfectly innocuous. I don't see why anyone would have a problem with this, when in fact people do have a problem with this. That is the problem, yeah. Oh God.
Although I will say, have you seen that? There's a video from a con from a couple years ago. It's a little girl who's, I don't know, 10 maybe, dressed up as Batgirl, and she went to one of the signings for someone from DC, and it was right after they canceled Batgirl and a whole bunch of other series, and she's just like, and the guys are like, oh, like, little girl, like, what's your name, can I send an autograph for you, being kind of patronizing, and she just starts reaming him a new one.
Oh, really? Oh, I want to see that.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
Of a patriarchal society that doesn't value or respect women, biatch, or something like that.
It's pretty great. It's been a while since I've seen it, which is why I'm a little sketchy on the specifics, but...
I'll get that. So I think we'll move on from that. We're talking a bit about the tropes, talking about a couple of characters. There's one other thing I want to talk about, talking about the 70s. I mentioned this a couple of times, where I did a video a while ago, talking about, like, the top 10 female characters, and there were some genuinely good female characters we included on that list. But something that came up a couple of times with slightly characters that have been around for a bit while is that they tended to get naked a bit. And I want to point out the character of Storm. So, I like the character of Storm. I think she was good when she began. I think she's good right now. But in the early comics, when she first showed up, she got naked quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
It was weird. Like, not all the time, but, like, because she has such destructive powers. Like, I mean, the first time you ever see her, the first time we meet her in the comic, like, she's, like, basically ruling over this African tribe as, like, a goddess, and she is naked. She's got nothing going on up above. Thank God she's got all that hair. They managed to cover things up. And there's there's other times in the comics where, like, when she was X-Men, where she just, like, unleashed her powers and then she'd be naked because she burned off all her clothes with lightning and stuff. They kept looking for excuses, it felt, to get her naked.
Well, because everyone has to know that she's a female, and apparently her being naked is the best way to accomplish that. Because having a strong female would be,
We can figure it out in other ways, guys. We're not stupid. Jeez. Oh god, that's just a trope that I really like. And it happened to a lot of other characters. It's fan service. It's something that isn't just limited to comics. It's all over the place. Like that. Best example I can think of is that fucking scene from fucking Star Trek Into Fucking Darkness. You know the one I mean. Everyone knows the one I fucking mean. Where it's like Alice Eve, good actress, good character that I can remember, and she's like changing for some reason. I can't even remember why. Behind Captain fucking Kirk, and despite the fact that he knows she is changing, he turns around and she's there, and she's got the most weirdest pose. Just like she's not like got half a trouser leg on or anything. She's like posing with like one hip cocked, like turn around, like no, fucking no.
Right? No one I know does that when they're changing because no.
No, so not only did she have no real reason to change, as far as I can remember. Not only did Captain Kirk fucking look, even though he knew what was going on, and she posted. It's all the goddamn fucking time. Like, I'm not adverse to nudity in comics or in general. I'm British and repressed, but I'm fine with other people doing it. But if you're going to do it, make sure there's a fucking reasonable point to it.
Well, it's Harley in Suicide Squad when they're all getting ready to, go out to rescue Amanda Waller, and all the trunks are delivered to the people with their gear, and you see Deadshot looking at his old mask, and you see Boomerang picking up that
purple unicorn.
Purple unicorn.
Oh, sorry, pink unicorn. You're right.
And then there's Margot Robbie, who, like, I actually happen to think is a good, like, talented and capable actress.
I thought she was the perfect person to play Harley Quinn.
Right? I think that was great. I've seen her in Tarzan, and I liked her there, and, like, I genuinely enjoy Margot Robbie as an actress, right?
Yeah.
But, like, we have to have her in her shorts and her bra pulling a shirt over, and then,
and then she turns around to everyone.
Guys as everyone's staring at her, being like, oh, what?
Oh,
what?
God. Yeah. It's so, like, Harley Quinn is not that dense, which means she's doing it on purpose, which means they wrote her to do that on purpose.
Right. But to be dense about it and to not own it, and, I mean, or just, like, we're not seeing anyone else changing, or, I mean, talk about, and, like, granted, I understand that Harley Quinn is, written as a,
She's a very open character when it comes to that sort of stuff.
But Killer Croc doesn't. Right, but Killer Croc, generally doesn't have a lot of clothing on, and he was covered in clothing in that movie.
Yeah, he's got a hoodie. Like, does he need a hoodie? Can't we just have, like, Killer Croc be Killer Croc? I don't even think he really needs trousers.
I mean, not really.
No. I mean, I'm not saying I want to see Killer Croc's stuff, but still.
Yeah,
I pity the poor makeup artist that would have to have done that. Oh, God. Oh, jeez. But I want to talk about something else about that movie. I swear we're not going to focus on it too much. But, right, so near the end of the movie, when they're fighting the stupid villain Enchantress, again, sorry, tangent, but still, every time she walks, every time she moves around, she's like shaking her hips and jiggling around and stuff, and it's weird. Like, stop walking that way. Who told Cara Delevingne to move like that? I know she wouldn't think that way, because no one would look at that and think, oh, that's a natural thing to do.
Right? That's an effective walk.
It is. But anyway, she shows them, like, their dreams and stuff, and there are like ideal scenarios for them to live their lives and stuff. And what's Harley Quinn? like Utopia, her perfect dream. It's her and the Joker, and she's got like curlers in her hair, and she's like got a baby and stuff, and like really, like pre-Harley Harleen Quinzel. Like, maybe that could be her dream, but you really think Harley Quinn wants a life of domestic bliss? Really?
But even when she was Dr. Harleen Quinzel, when you look at one of the origins for Harley, for Mad Love, right? And Batman is in the cave with Alfred and talking about Harley Quinn. He says, in her own way, Alfred, Harley Quinn's as crazy as the Joker. Her playful exterior hides an obsessive and dangerous mind. Alfred says, tragic, really. And Batman goes, perhaps, but even from the beginning, Harley Quinn was no angel. And then it goes into this montage of her, you know, being a young kid and trying to succeed in school, and her going to university and trying to succeed, and one of her professors not wanting to give her a good grade. And granted, then she sleeps with her professor to get an A, which like has some ethical concerns. But Harley has never been I want love, I want a baby, I want a family. Like, Harley has always been ambitious, and it's one of the things that when they write her, particularly in the early ones, they both bring up and very much like deride her for, because women wanting to be something other than a mother is apparently not something that anyone at, you know, any of the creators can wrap their head around. And that's a huge problem. So even if you go back to her origins at the very beginning, she wouldn't have wanted to get married to the Joker and have babies. Like, that's not who she is. She is a ambitious career person.
Yeah, the Joker warped her, but that stuff was always there. And it's that really the thing. My takeaway from Harley Quinn's portrayal in that movie, the way she was written, the way they did that, was like, is that what you think Harley Quinn is about? The answer is fucking no. That is not what she is like in the comics or in any other adaptation. That is not what her relationship with the Joker is like. And I know, I get they were trying to do something different, but different does not mean good. Different, it just wasn't good. That was not who Harley Quinn was. So not only is it potentially, in fact I'd probably say definitely sexist, that's just not even fair representation of the character. And this is a big problem with DC, is that they keep on trying, because they keep on retconning and rebooting their universe and creating new timelines and all that shit with multiple crises and things like that. And they rarely succeed at reinventing their female characters, especially in the new fucking 52. And the thing that I like to point in the new 52 is poor Starfire. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, I haven't read as much of it as I would have liked to.
Basically, Starfire, as far as I'm not very familiar with this character, I will state that, but still, the best example I can think of is her in the Teen Titans cartoon, where she's very outgoing and sweet and friendly, but also like really powerful, and it's got this thing which is a bit stupid, like her emotions are her strength because of her alien physiology ties her powers to her emotions. But still, they also sort of mirror that with the character of Raven, where her lack of emotions sort of like help her keep control of her powers. And it sounds bad, but the way they present that is very well. But in the hands of a lesser writer, that could go really, really, really bad. And it does. It goes so bad. So, and in the comics, in the 52 comics, she is re-envisioned as a character that wears little to no clothing and will jump into bed with basically anyone. And that would be fine, I guess, if it was a new character. I wouldn't think it's a good character, but, you know, if you want to create a new character, fine, whatever you want. But that's not what Starfire is. That is not she is not promiscuous. She is not like that's not her. That's fucking not her. They didn't include anything about the character that made sense, at least from a characterization point. Fucking the Starfire from the Teen Titans comics and the Teen Titan cartoon would be horrified at what a new incarnation was like. She'd be bloody disgusted, and so am I. And there was a great little cartoon I saw on the web of this female comic reader reading these comics and watching the cartoon and really liking them, and then seeing the new 52 and seeing the way she's been warped. and she puts that comic aside in disgust, like throws it out. And it's kind of heartbreaking in a way.
Yeah, I mean, it's again, if you want to show female, comic book heroes that are sleeping with anyone, like, more power to you. I think that we live in a repressed society where women are.
We don't want to be sex negative,
right? But like, that doesn't mean that you rewrite a character as just being a sexy character when that's, like, not who she's been. You did bring up an interesting point kind of at the beginning where, Starfire's powers are based on her emotions. And
that's always been a very tricky thing for me, because on the one hand I think that's kind of interesting, but on the other hand it's almost always female characters that are portrayed in that way.
So like, here's what I want to talk about is a woman named Amanda Shendrick wrote a piece where she did analyzing the gender representation of 34,476 comic book characters, which, like, is a lot of comic book characters, and this is like a stats based thing.
Yeah, because you want to get as much as these sorts of a biggest pool as you can. Yeah.
So one of the main takeaways was that, like, men are strong and women are, like, thoughtful. So she has this really great graph where she's got female on one side and male on the other, and she looks at male and female superpowers, right? And men have strength, stamina, berserker strength, and then as pretty large ones, and then super eating, siphon abilities, and longevity, as, like, small bars on the bar graph. Females have agility. Men are more likely by, between 4 and 6% to have gadgets, power suits, power items, implants, and be insanely rich than women. Women literally had nothing, that women are more likely to have nothing than men. In terms of supernatural abilities, men are more likely to be invulnerable, feral, adapter, have matter absorption, have enhanced mutation, duplication, flame breath, heat vision, genetic manipulation, and magnetism. Women are more likely to have flight, pheromone control, which, like, ding, 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 sex.
Like queen bee, wallflower, this is just to name a few.
Right, poison ivy.
Poison.
Sonic Scream, and prehensile hair, because our hair can be a weapon.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that in the fucking Inhumans.
Right. In terms of enhanced skills, men have enhanced leadership, tracking, omnilingual, so they can speak, like, all languages. They are enhanced escape artists and marksmanships. Women have intellect, which was interesting that we're portraying women as smarter than men. Enhanced intellect, unarmed combat, and swordsmanship. In terms of energy manipulation, men have blast power, energy absorption, radiation, force field, energy enhanced strike, electricity control, and vibration wave. Women are more able to do light projection, because that sounds like it's dangerous. Mental power.
Actually, it kind of is, because, light, it depends how you use it, but
if it's the light of the sun.
If all you can do is, like, from your hands just create, like, a torchlight, like, oh, you couldn't find your keys in this dark room. Look out, it's Torch Lady. Bzz.
Right? When you come to mental powers, interestingly, there are no male bars under mental powers, but women, the top trait that women have more than men is empathy.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Telepathy, being psychic, being psionic, being able to mesmerize people, precognition, emotion control, and illusion casting. And it goes on and on and on. Like, I'm not going to bore you. I'm happy to throw you a link if that's something that you can put up.
I will include that in the show notes. Yeah, that's something that we definitely like. Send me the link for that. Yeah,
definitely. But it's just it's absurd, and there is, like, a real quantifiable statistical difference in the powers that men and women have.
Don't believe us? Look at the fucking data.
Exactly. We're not sitting here ranting about something, because I know that, like, there are probably going to be emails of people being like, oh, like, that's your opinion, like,
We've yet to get
whatever.
emails, but if we were going to get emails, let's be honest, in today's climate with so many idiots around, this is what we get. Yeah.
Right. This may also be the episode that you get the emails on, because, feminism!
Bring it on, alt-writers! I can take every one of you! My doctor is a female doctor!
Yeah, but, there's quantifiable data that backs up that there are profound differences in how
Yeah, and I mean, I could point to individual female characters that had some of the powers they mentioned on the male side, but that's the thing. See, I could point to individual. Like, I wouldn't run out of female characters to talk about. I would like point to like one, maybe two, maybe three, and that's
Sure.
invulnerable. I could think of let's see, I guess Wonder Woman and Rogue. And that's really all I can think of off the top of my head right now. But if I were talking about men, oh god, there's Superman, there's Hulk, there's Captain America, I could go on forever.
Right. And this was not to say, like, this particular piece wasn't saying that there are no female characters with male characteristics and there are no male characters with female characteristics.
It's the ratio,
just, like, statistically
it's the imbalance.
on the whole. Right.
Yeah. And
there are some really large differences
yeah.
between the number of characters with particular traits.
And I guess that's the thing that a lot of people, and that's certainly what I want, is I want variety. I want variety in my characters, no matter what gender they are, or even if they have a gender at all. I want a vast array. I want a lovely smorgasbord of superheroes that I can pick and choose from. And that's really what makes sense, at least from a writing point, because then you're guaranteed that at least a few people might like certain characters. But if you only give certain types of characters out, or limit the amount of types of characters that you give out, then it just doesn't make sense, either from an artistic standpoint, or indeed from a
commercial standpoint.
From a commercial standpoint, exactly. And it all starts, I think, again, it starts in the writing room. It starts where people are creating these characters. And I think something I want to talk about now is, I just want to get your opinion on something like female versions of male characters. What do you think? What's your takeaway from that? Like, how has that changed? Can we talk about that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if the only way that you can think of to create an interesting female character is to make it the female version of a male character, you have a problem.
Yeah. Like, okay, so there's one Smurf lady in this whole Smurf village, and we'll call her Smurfette. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Right. Yeah. Weird. But, I mean, we're going to make Thor female, right? And I get that was a, whosoever picks up Mjolnir becomes Thor, and that, like, Thor can still be Thor without,
Yeah.
So you can have two Thors at the same time. It's weird.
Yeah, I don't pay much attention to that. But going further, there's things like She-Hulk, a character that I do genuinely like, but still, she's not the Hulk. She's She-Hulk. And Hulk isn't called He-Hulk. He's just called Hulk.
He's just Hulk.
And automatically, even no matter how good a character she is, and I think she is a good character, assuming, David Goyer doesn't get his hands on her. Oh, fucking Goyer. She's always going to be defined as opposite to a man, or relative to a man. And they did think that you can do female versions of male characters better. Like, there was a female Captain Britain for a while, and she wasn't called Captain Britain-ette or anything like that. She was called Lionheart, I think. And even though she was technically a Captain Britain, she was very different from the other character. But even so, there are better ways of doing that. But do the people writing these things really think we won't accept a new female character that isn't related to anyone else? I mean, I've lost track of the amount of Spider-Woman that are out there.
Yeah, I mean,
there's like 10 of them. God.
No, there are so many of them.
There's Jessica Drew. There was the other one, Jessica. Just something Carpenter. Alternative version of that, like an alternate character, and then this other lady, and then there's like Spider-Gwen and Silk, and there's tons and tons of stuff. And like the only other like alternative Spider-Man is Miles Morales, as far as I'm aware. Oh no, Spider-Man 2099, but even then I'm not sure he counts. And it's slightly ridiculous at this point.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not the worst thing about female representation in comics, but it's not a good thing.
No, and I'm just like gonna go back to what I said at the beginning. Like, if you can't come up with a good female character, unless it is like the female version of a male character, like
Yeah.
like if you have a problem. If you cannot conceive of a female character that could be strong and capable in her own right without undergoing, the same gamma radiation that Hulk was subjected to, or like
Oh, not
no.
even that. No, that's her origin is that she got a blood transfusion from her cousin, the Hulk, and that's what
Okay,
gave her her powers.
even worse.
Yeah.
Even worse. That you cannot have this female superhero without the male. Like,
He saves her, and thus he gives her her powers. I still want to see a
Right.
She-Hulk TV series or a movie or whatever, but fucking hell. I mean, let me put it this way. I've got this side project thing going on. It's nothing really serious. I basically create this whole universe of British superheroes. I've worked very hard to make sure that it is gender balanced as fuck. Half the characters are women. Or assuming, of course, they actually are women, but not like non-binary or anything like that. But half the characters are biologically female, and none of them are based on a male character. None of them.
excellent.
A, this is something that I'm just starting like from the ground up, and B, I don't need to do that.
No, it's not necessary.
No, you can, and again, it's going down the case of like, doesn't matter how good the character is. I mean, like Supergirl is a much better example actually now because she's got a TV show. As far as I'm aware, the TV show is going very well. It's getting a huge fan base. Good for them. I don't watch it anymore just because I'm done with the CW. There's too much. I'm done. But it's just there's so many different shows and they're all 40 minutes. I don't have the time. I just do not have the time. But
Yes.
even again, it's a character that's based on Superman. And I still maintain that the pilot where she introduces that character is one of the worst ways you could introduce a female character. Or at least introduce Supergirl, from my perspective. And it's just... We don't... And the only one that I can really think of that's coming out soon or relatively soon, is Captain Marvel. Oh, but then even then, she got her powers from, like, this Kree, person, I think it was it Marvel or Genisville? I can't remember.
But Marvel.
Marvel, that was it, and that's where she got her powers from. And so she's not based on anyone else, but no, because was Marvel a Captain Marvel? Yes, he was.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
so they never. The one example I had of a female superhero that wasn't based on anyone else that's upcoming is in fact just that. The only other thing I can think of is Wasp, which is sort of done. Is a bit different, but she's made as a counterpart to Ant-Man. We had to wait for an Ant-Man movie before we got a Wasp movie, and it's just like, oh god.
Yeah. Now, I speaking of recent movies, I think if we're talking about female representation in comics, like given the recent success of Wonder Woman, that's something that we kind of have to talk about.
I'm doing the bullets off the wrist gauntlets things. It's amazing how many bad guys aim for her wrist gauntlets.
Right?
I think that's her weak spot.
Absolutely incredible.
Yeah, jeez. But yeah. So the Wonder Woman. I mean, I like the Wonder Woman movie. I think it's great. I'm glad that it sparked this outcry for more female representation of regards to superheroes in movies. What are your thoughts of it?
I really enjoyed it. I went and saw it. I, like many other people, were upset happy, I guess, to find out that
It's like on the one hand, yay, we've got this cool new female superhero character. On the other hand, it took us this fucking long to get it.
It took us this long. The other thing was that Patty Jenkins and Gal Gadot, I believe, were each only signed for that one movie, which, I mean, how many movies did they sign Chris Evans to, right? That's the Chris that plays Captain America. Yeah. There are so many Chris's, let's be honest.
Yeah, fair enough. I think this is a DC thing because they're basically just making up their extended universe as they go along. I'm sure they were just as surprised as anyone that Wonder Woman was actually good, Because let's be honest, the odds were against it. I was hoping that it was going to be good, but I thought Suicide Squad was going to be good. I got burned with that.
Sure. But, you know...
Still, they were signing for one movie, and...
They only signed it for one movie, which is not a particular vote of confidence, which, like, I find infuriating. But I'm also kind of happy because, you know, both Patty and Gal will get much better contracts as a result of the first one. So, like, happy, sad. The one thing that I wanted to say about... There were two things about Wonder Woman that, like, I just absolutely loved, and neither of them are necessarily things that you were going to know about unless you went and looked for it behind the scenes. One, a lot of the women who played the Amazons were actually like professional sports women.
Yeah,
right?
we did a review of Wonder Woman. When I was doing the research for that, I found that out and I was very surprised and very pleased to hear that.
Right. So that's amazing. The other thing is, I don't know if you saw the series of tweets from Amanda Weaver, who is a professional costume designer.
Oh.
This is another link I'm gonna send you. That she just like lost it when she was watching the Amazons fight.
In a
and
good
she talks
way?
a lot about, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So she talks a lot about the intent behind costuming, right? And the Linda Carter Wonder Woman costume from a TV show, 30, 40 years ago, that little outfit, like that's not a fighting outfit, like that's lingerie, right?
Yeah.
Any female, Power Girl, Supergirl, Harlequin, Poison Ivy, so you start like lingerie. Everyone is wearing lingerie. Like, let's just get that out into the open right now.
I mean, a great example of this is a couple of years ago, I was working on a student film shoot as a script supervisor, and we were in the downtime. It was everyone was just sort of camping out in this deserted village hall thing, and some people were eating, some people were talking. I just brought with me a bunch of my comic books. And I was looking at, I think it was an X-Men comic, and there was a scene with Emma Frost.
Oh, yeah.
Who is a good character, but let's be honest.
Lingerie,
yeah. And a friend of mine was working on that. She didn't think she was the producer. Was looking over my shoulder. I was reading it, and it was like, Scott, what are you reading? Is that porn? It's like, no! But this is a legitimate superhero comic book. What is she wearing? Oh, Emma Frost. Yeah, she's actually a legitimate character. She's a very good character, but, yeah. Moving on. Oh, look, there's Wolverine. And
right?
I felt a little bit embarrassed, actually, just reading that, just because, it is basically lingerie. And again, with Savage Dragon, I was actually reading a bunch of Savage Dragon comics on my computer. I think I was traveling, from, England back up to Edinburgh, and I was reading the comics and the way they drew the characters. I suddenly, even though no one could see what I was looking at, I suddenly realized, I feel like I'm reading porn. I feel like I'm in a public space, and I feel like that's not what it is. I know that's what it is. I know that's not what the intent, but I shouldn't feel like I'm watching porn on a train.
And here's the thing about the movie, right? They did an amazing job. Okay, so that they had some constraints in that, like Wonder Woman has an outfit and Wonder Woman's had an outfit for 70 years, and like that's kind of the outfit.
If people changed it, the fans would lose their minds.
Right, but like small details, right? So when you look at classical mythology, when people talk about the Amazons, there was this myth that they all cut off their left breast to make shooting bows and arrows easier. Yeah. Right. Because I don't know if any of you have ever shot a bow or an arrow, but if you got big breasts, they can get in the way.
Yeah.
Every single female Amazon in the fight scene had a metal breastplate over her left breast, right?
Yeah.
Warrior.
Nice little callback.
Right? Well, the outfit that Diana is wearing is, busty and short and colorful and whatever.
Don't do jumping jacks in that outfit, basically.
Well, but if you look at the skirt, it is a shorter, but the design of it where it's cut high over the thighs is actually the way that Roman military uniforms were cut, so that you had a lot of movement in them. When you look at the boots that she's wearing, they're not pretty stylish boots. They're armored boots. when they went to make her costume and the costume of all of the Amazons, they did not start with lingerie. They started with armor. And that is huge, right? And I am like so stoked about that.
Yeah, because we talked about this before. There's this thing on the internet going around, making the rounds, about redesigns of impractical, shall we say, female outfits made to be practical but also really cool looking. And they just took that mentality and applied that to the costumes of Wonder Woman, and it fucking worked!
Mm-hmm.
And it's so cool, because the thing that is a real, if you can't tell, I get quite irritated quite a lot. It's a real irritation of mine when they give, like, female armor in whether it be comics or movies or video games or whatever, breasts, basically. I hate that. They did that in the Power Rangers movie, the most recent one. They've done a bunch of times in things like Skyrim and stuff. When they have armor, they have breasts, and not only does it look stupid, but also it's apparently it's a major weakness in the integrity of the armor.
Mm-hmm.
And so it just makes no sense. It's just to get rid of that, the whole stupid backwards aesthetic part, and just focus on making them practical but also cool looking. I mean, that's one of the main reasons why I like the movie. So,
I enjoyed Wonder Woman. I'm excited for the next one. I hope it's as good.
Red Sonja needs to take a leaf out of her book. Fucking Red Sonja. Are you familiar with her costume?
Yes.
Because I think I've talked about this before. You know what? I'm going to talk about it again. I don't care. It's fucking stupid! In case you're unaware, Capers, Red Sonja wears a chain metal bikini. And the purpose of this is that it distracts the enemy. Okay, that's a really good idea. Unless, the person you're fighting isn't particularly distractible. And even if they are distractible, they're distracted for like 5 minutes before, like, they start properly fighting back. Like, they're not going to try and ogling you while they're fighting for their lives. And even if they were, like, they could still get in a lucky shot. And they could still... There's so much of you that is exposed. And any lucky shot, like, accidents happen. That's why you wear armor. And what if you're fighting another woman that is straight? Or what if you're fighting a gay man? For God's sake, what if you're fighting a fucking monster that has no sexual interest whatsoever and is just going to start clawing at you while you're wearing a bikini?
So this, like, goes back to exactly what I was saying earlier about issues of, female super people having their sexuality viewed as a weapon, because all of a sudden a girl in a bikini her bikini is a weapon?
No.
Like, no.
Unless her bikini is taken off to use as a catapult, it's not going to be dangerous.
Right? Like, it's like, ugh.
This is... you can tell, Capers, this really gets on our wick. Oh, God. And I was talking about this before, again, I talked about this before, because this is a passion of mine. I want more female characters in movies. I want them to be done well. I fucking don't trust DC, even though they managed to get that right once, but that's thanks to Patty Jenkins, I think. But also just like... we need more of this stuff. As a society, we need this.
Right, and not just token, like, throwaway female characters who say, oh, look, I have a female character. Like, diversity. No, like, well done, well thought out, real human beings with hopes and dreams and ambitions, and, like, substantive characters. We need
more Wynonna Earp!
Human beings, because guess what? Women are human beings.
Really? I had no idea. Wow, this really changed my outlook. Jeez. Do you watch Wynonna Earp?
I have not seen it.
Watch it. It's brilliant. She's a great female character. Another character, Waverly, her sister, is another great female character. And it's just so good. One more character like that, and steps are being made. There are... the female characters are starting to come out of the woodwork and be represented outside of comics, but also better represented inside the comics. But it's going far too slow for my taste. I'm an impatient bastard. And we need more of these in these trying times. Sadly, I hate the fact that we need them. I wish we didn't need them, but we still had them. But sadly, we know we do need them, and we don't have as much as we need. So let's fucking get them out. Again, I think it starts in the writer's room. If you're a writer, and often it's a case of like, does this character need to be like this? Maybe this could be a woman, and you can change that up. And I'm not saying just write female characters for the sake of writing female characters. Just write good characters that happen to be female. Let's get a lot more of them out there. And there are some out there. We need more, though.
Right. And you know what? Like, in these trying times that we live in, but, you know, writing good, strong female characters can actually have a really big impact, right? Like, decades of research on communications and, you know, cultural anthropology has shown that the stories that, like, human beings tell, you know, to ourselves, not me talking to me, but, like, me talking to the wider world, or any, you know, artist or creator, publishing a book, writing a comic, putting a movie out, TV, whatever it is, those mediums both reflect and shape the identities that we have as members of our specific cultures, as well as members of the broader human race.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
it influenced me. I remember growing up, you know, because you get exposed to certain things when you're growing up, and I fucking blame fucking Disney for this. Fucking Disney. Just because you get so certain stereotypes and certain characterizations of women. And then when I was like 7 years old, I watched Star Wars for the first time, and I see a princess that takes charge and is awesome, and I'm like, fucking like, oh, this is interesting. And that's sort of what set me down this sort of feminist road. I was very lucky also to grow up surrounded by very strong, very independent women, and thankfully. But that's, in terms of like fiction, like, I hadn't seen anything like that before. But think about that. 7 years old, I hadn't seen a character like Princess Leia before.
Yeah.
And thank God they got to me when I did. You know, when it did.
Right. And I mean, it's so profoundly important, and it can have such a big impact. And I think that's often, like, undervalued, and just, like, write more good characters who happen to be female.
Yeah, and who knows, maybe in the future that some little girl will cosplay as that character at a comic convention, or possibly even a grown man will. You never know.
Right? I mean, well, and so here's another thing that really pisses me off that goes along with the costuming, but when you go to cons, right, you kind of have two options. You can go and you can dress as the character has been written. And if your hair is 3 shades the wrong color, you better believe somebody's going to call you out on it, right? But they're also going to say, oh, well, like, you're dressed in lingerie, so clearly I can cop a feel, or, like, stalk you around the convention hall because you're asking for it, even if you're just trying to dress up like a character that you love. Your other alternative is to take a character that you love and wear either, you know, a non-traditional costume that might be have a little bit more coverage, shall we say?
A bit more conservative.
Right. Or to, you know, take a costume that you like, and instead of having booty shorts, you know, make them Bermuda shorts, or, you know, something.
I don't know what either of those are, because I'm not very clothes inspired, but yeah, and it's
the difference between shorts that are right under your bum and shorts that are down by your knee.
Are those even shorts? Like, I don't know. But yes,
yeah, it's underwear at that point.
Yeah,
but then you're gonna have people run around and tell you that you are not a real comic fan, and you're not a real, you don't deserve to be there because you're not dressed appropriately, and it is this terrible lose-lose situation.
Yeah.
Right.
I've talked with Kit Horsley, our cosplay hero, and with Dave Malosky about what you can do and can't do at cons, and the amount of double standards and the really negative atmosphere that surrounds a lot of female cosplayers is so wrong. Photo consent is a big issue. Body shame. The list goes on and on and on. And so I hate this atmosphere, and I hate that this is where society's at right now. But there is hope. There is hope on this horizon. And we've more female. I mean, thank God. I watched recently watched Defenders, and we recently got a Defenders episode of this podcast out. And thank God for Jessica Jones. Fucking love Jessica Jones.
Yes.
Although not a lot of people cosplaying as her that I've seen. But still.
I've seen some. I think some of it is that from a cosplay perspective, like what she wears is so kind of everyday normal.
Yeah. That is
so
one issue actually I have with the new the 13th Doctor. Just cause I mean I'm really glad they got Jodie Whittaker to play her, but the outfit they got for her, and I feel bad criticizing the first female Doctor's outfit, but still it feels very nondescript for me. I'm pretty sure my mum has that exact same walking gear. Well, like I said, maybe my mum's really trendy. I don't know, but
maybe. But you know, people who go to cons, they want to dress up. You want to get a chance to be something else, you know, for a day.
Yeah.
And when you have characters who, you know, wear regular clothing, which I'm fine with, but I think from a I want to dress up perspective, people are going to be less inclined to dress up like someone who dresses, you know, like you do.
Yeah. So, to sum up, get rid of these stupid tropes, write better characters, tone down the costumes when appropriate, let's move away from female versions of male characters, and let's get some better and more numerous and more varied representation up in here!
Right?
Yeah! So, on that note, I think we're going to end the show there. Thank you very much, Chelsi, for joining us.
Of course, it's been lovely. Thank you for having me.
It's not a problem. I hope I didn't wear out your voice as much as I've worn out mine. Oh, God. So, Capers, if you enjoy the show, please tell your friends. Shout it from the rooftops. We want to get the word out. And if you haven't already, go back and listen to some of our other brilliant episodes. We talked about a couple of them here, like we talked about our top 10 favorite female superheroes. Go check that out and listen to these episodes on iTunes, Podbean, YouTube, or at a place to hang your cape. Also, we have a Patreon. Check out our Patreon and our rewards. It's patreon.com/AP2HYC. You might even find a few rewards that involve us here at PodCapers. And if you want to get in touch with us, you know, suggest show topics, or maybe even want to come on the show yourself, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at AP2HYC. And thank you for Dan Harris for our lovely logo, the microphone with the red and blue glasses. That's my red and blue glasses up there. As thank you for listening. This has been PodCapers, the official podcast of A Place to Hang Your Cape. Cue the music!